All right, we're going to go ahead and start up solidedge. This will be, I'm going to be looking at page 2-38. This is going to be exercise 1. Little profile, no holes drilled in it, and just a simple one. So this will be a pretty quick video. Now, some of you may have installed solidedge with just ISO parts in here. So if you don't see an ANSI part, this is going to be in, well, actually that is a metric part, so it will be an ISO part. If you have that, you can click on it to create. If not, you can go to Edit Create Options. Here's a list of templates that are up there. We can also browse if I'm looking for, I can hit More. The More tab will bring up ANSI, anything with a ANSI is inches, ISO is metric, so there's all kinds of sheets here. You'd be looking for an ANSI part.par if you're looking for something to do with inches. What we're looking for is an ISO. So go down here, GHI, ISO part, right there. So I want to include that and just say OK. Now that ISO part will show up in my, I just give it a name. I'll call it ISO part 2. Hit add and then go OK. So now I have both of those in there. They're both actually the same part. So once you see that, we're going to create from an ISO part. Just click on this tool. Now there are 3 types of files we're going to be dealing with. We're going to be dealing with part files, which have a PAR extension, draft files, which are basically sheet files that will have your two-dimensional drawings. Those are draft files with a DFT, and then assembly files, which have an ASM extension, I believe. We'll get into those quite a bit later. So just click on the ISO part, and it opens up into solidedge. This is going to be a synchronous exercise, and if you follow along on page 2-38, it's figure 2-57 and 2-58 gives us the profile. So what we want to do is draw this profile on the screen, and I'm looking at some overall dimensions, and we'll just kind of block this out. So I've got, first of all, 120 by 10 is going to be the base of this profile, and it'll be on the ZX plane. So what we'll do is select rectangle by corner. You can see if you drop this down, these little arrows that show up here are flyouts. So we'll do a rectangle by center. If I come over here, when I click on this plane, it automatically kind of picks up that ZX plane. And if I just click the padlock right on there, you'll notice up in the corner that this padlock shows up, which means it's locked to that plane. Now if you look down at the bottom, you'll notice this sketch view. You can just Control H is also the shortcut key, so you can just click on that and you'll notice it rotates this compass around to the ZX plane. So I'm just going to left click. You notice when I get my mouse just right close to the center, it gives me that little handle that says I'm right on a point. Just left click. Now this is going from the center, so as I pull this out, I'm going to key in the width is 120, hit the tab key. My height is 10. And I'll just roll that around. You'll notice it'll lock at that 0 plane if I so choose, or I could put an angle in there. Now if I roll my mouse back, it will zoom into it. There's the bottom plane of this. Now we've got a box on top of this that is 30 minus 10, so it'll be 20 high. It has a radius of 30, so it will be 60 wide. So what we can do is just start by drawing a line here. We'll go up 20. Actually, I'll just key in. I'll just left click. I'm not even going to put a number. Now you're going to swing this arc over, You'll notice how it gives me this little dotted line when I'm even. You see how I can just switch it to an arc, swing it across, and then we'll just bring it right back down and let it stop here. Now we've got some dimensions we're going to put in here. First of all, we want to kind of center this thing in the middle, this piece, so we can do that by just using some some relationships up here. I'm not sure I want to connect it. I just want to we'll just do a dimension. So if it's 60 from 120 so it'll be 30 over. So I know that the dimension from this point to this point should be 30. So I'm just going to key in 30. My computer is getting slow here. Doesn't like me. Well, I'll make sure we get let me just Control Z out of that one. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do it. Apologize for that. We'll go from this one to this one. We know that that distance needs to be 60. Now let's see if we can do it on this side. From here to the end should be 30. Whoops. So I hit my brightness screen. Yeah, that looks better. And that should leave, have to right click twice to get out of that, 30 on this side. Okay. Now what we want to do is extrude both of these pieces, so we'll rotate this around. Right down in the bottom is our view orientation. We're going to select this, and I want to extrude this, the face. I want to extrude both directions. This tells you it's going to extrude symmetrically. I want to extrude this face. If I hold down my Control key, I can select this face and just hit enter, and now we'll pull this out. The width of this piece, oh, do they even give it to us on this profile? They may have to make something up. Yeah, we'll call it 30. So we'll just key in 30. Probably not correct, but looks okay. Now if I want to change that, and I see that it's probably wider, so let's just left click on this dimension right on the number, and we'll change it to 50. There we go. That looks more like the object. Okay, now we're going to draw a hole right in the center of this. So we can just take our, let's do a circle. We'll do it this way first. And you'll notice I want to select the plane first. So I'll just, when I click on this plane, you'll notice it highlights with this padlock. Just left click. I know I'm on it. If I just left click up here and come down, you'll notice how it finds that center point, and you see the little symbol that shows up on my cursor says I'm on the center point. All I do is just left click. We're going to put in a diameter on this one of 30 and just right click. Stops it. Now we're going to extrude this, and we're going to tell it we want it to remove whatever we see. We don't want it to go in both directions. And you'll notice it didn't select the circle. So I just see the little mouse comes up, and I just hit my right mouse button and go down and say I want to select the region. And now I can hit enter to accept it. And we'll just pull this through until it's past the other side. And now I'm just holding my middle wheel down, and I can spin this around and look at it. to make sure we've got everything the way it should be. Okay, we'll come down here, change it back to an isometric again. There we go. And we have to put a couple radiuses on here. The radiuses are down in the corner. They have a radius of 4. There's going to be 2 of them. So we just go up here to our round tool. We have round and chamfers. We want to round it or fillet the edge. We can drop this down and see how it's going to do it. But if I just left click here, right in this corner, see how that highlights in yellow? Just left click there. And then I can put in my radius, which in this case is going to be 4 millimeters. We'll swing it around, select this edge, and it remembers that 4 millimeter. Just left click or hit enter, and there we have it. Now if we want to just see what the item looks like, we can turn off our PMI and our base planes. There's our object. Now let's imagine that this piece is going to be stainless steel. We'll go up to our application button, go down to properties, we'll say material table, and I want to make this for my material stainless steel 316, and I want to apply that to the model. If you give it a few seconds now, you'll see that the model will change. Now it's stainless steel 316, and it also gives it some properties. If we look at the properties again of the unit, we'll see some information. Oops, that's not what I want. That's the file properties. Oops. I'll save it first. We'll save it as, and I'll put it here, and we'll just call it EX1 Chapter 2. Hit save. Now if we look at the file properties, or the property manager, we can start to see some of the items that we've put on here, including the material. It should give us some information on density, how much it weighs. We can find out from the inspection, or the we'll look at some of that stuff a little bit later on. And that is a basic part component that that is pretty easy to put together. We just have to do it one step at a time, and look at each component, or each element of the component individually, and try to put things in order to make it the easiest to model. We can also change the finish if we go to view and select the this tool right here, sharpen. We can sharpen this so it gives us a little finer display. It's going to slap our hands and say you shouldn't do that because it's going to cause your reaction time to slow down, but parts like these don't really matter, and it just makes things a little bit rounder, a little shinier. When you zoom into these circles, they don't get quite as choppy on the edges, but you can see how nice and smooth that is where it cuts through. And that's it, a little simple video to get you started in solidedge. And we'll go over some of these minor tools. They're all in the chapter. Here's our fit view, so we can fit an object. Our orientation, there's a dimetric, ISO view, and a trimetric view. Not a whole lot of difference between the three of them. Trimetric probably gives you the best view of this one. We have our front, back, left side, right side, top, and bottom. We can also change the view so we can see it as a wireframe, a hidden line view, so we see the hidden line show up as kind of a white line in the background, a visible edges only, a shaded view, and then we have a shaded with outline. So this actually puts some outlines. But if you want to see more of a realistic view, you'd want to look at it in the shaded view. So that is it, and I will cut this one short.